We're recording.
We are?
All right.
Red lights.
We are framed up.
Turn on
Sweet.
the red light.
We're not that kind of a show.
Hello and welcome to BetaHaus.Life, the podcast. Glad to have you guys along with us for the show today. We have in studio with us today Russ Cantu and my wife.
Elizabeth.
What are we doing today, Beth?
Well, we're getting to have another fun conversation about an unexpected journey. We talked a little bit about ours back in episode 2, and so now we're going to get to talk with one of our friends who has had a, well, I can say similar and unexpected, his own journey. I'm not going to say it was like just like our journey because it's not.
Starting to sound like a hobbit here.
Yeah. Well,
The wizard came and knocked at the door, made his mark. Yeah.
So, but Russ, let's get back to I digress on all of that.
We digress a lot.
We do that. That's just part of this. So, if you can give us a nutshell history of Russ, okay? Not like I was born
your
on a
whole life.
cold winter's day in 1972. It was.
Dude, I'm not that old.
No. I picked a date, random date.
Super random. I hope so. It was 78 and it was hotter than hell.
Yeah.
No, a nutshell of Russ. Well, how far back do you want to? You want to go to history? Do you want to go into current?
Well, I think that it is good to know that you are a California native
Totally.
Yeah.
because that does make us very different.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I go outside of California and I don't fit. I don't fit with anyone. I don't. I go to Texas and I have family there and like, you should move here. And I'm like, I don't do guns.
Yeah.
I don't do guns, and I'm not Republican. I'm really sorry. I love you.
Yeah.
I'll visit, but no. So I grew up in the Silicon Valley. It's all I've ever really known, and so I spent first 24 plus years of my life there, growing up in venture capitalism. Dad's an inventor and part of Inc. Like, we have strong family roots there. My uncle was chief of staff at Stanford, so it's like.
Yeah.
That's my world. That's how I grew up. And so in a nutshell, I had all this life experience come into it. And really the stage was set of, dude, Russ, the platform's yours. Take over the world. What do you want to do? Do you want to, go be a financier? Do you want to go to Stanford? Like everything, the path is, no, I want to be a pastor.
Well, and I look at that and knowing
It was insane.
that lifestyle, you just basically said, I want to do all of them at once and make like next to nothing doing it.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I want to have all those jobs.
Yeah. And so, no, there's legitimately, I mean, the neck snapped so much on literally everyone in the family because they couldn't understand it. I mean, because how can you? Because you have silver spoon.
Yeah.
Right.
For lack of a better way of explaining, and the path already laid out for you, and then to have you just kind of say, I'm good.
Yeah.
It was a little bit weird, and so for the next 16 years, I was in student ministry and in admissions and doing great. I mean, everything that I did kind of had some of that experience brought into it,
Right.
which worked really well for ministry, and then it all just stopped.
Yeah.
It all stopped doing ministry, and it was probably the best decision I ever made.
Well, and it's knowing that timing when it's the right time to stop too.
Yeah, the timing never works out the way you think it is. I mean, nobody gets into ministry and goes, I really hope this works for a year. Or, hey, I hope this works for 20 years. You just do it. And I never understood the whole thing of, I'm going to be a student pastor for life, or I'm going to be at a certain church forever. Like, that's not really how it is. I mean, if we're going to have that spiritual conversation here too, it's if you really believe that God is Lord, then you just have to be faithful. Like, you're not called to plant a church. You're not called to be a pastor. You're called to be faithful. And if it manifests itself in one of those two things, great. But if he calls you to do something else, then you better well listen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's being faithful.
Right.
I will say that knowing both of you two and both of you having backgrounds in student ministry, I think that it helps you to stay relevant in the social media and web world because you kind of had to stay younger with them. So like through your 20s, rather than being like, ooh, I'm off on my own with other 20-year-olds, I'm still hanging around with 14-year-olds. And I'm staying a little bit younger because I have to sorry, not like that. But like you're having to stay current on all of that because, to be in their world, to be able to communicate and relate, you're staying up on what the newest app is. You're staying up on, and I will date us a little bit here in that while we were in student ministry, we had to learn to text.
Yeah.
You know, that
T9
started.
texting.
Yeah. And I remember,
Yep.
you know, like on our
Yep.
in that, because that's the way they were communicating. I'm like, oh, okay, I've got to learn this. And
Yeah.
riding that curve a little bit before everybody. But even having MySpace and Facebook and all
Dude,
of
I
those
rocked
earlier.
the MySpace. Man,
Yeah.
it was straight
Yeah.
custom coded. It was legit.
Yeah.
But I feel like now that is actually playing to our advantage in that we're kind of forced to stay younger longer, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. I think more than anything, what it did for us is at least we understood the curve, or at least understood that if it's not about relevance, it's just we want to be able to communicate with people on their level.
Right.
And if you're not willing to communicate with people on their level, then you're kind of missing it. Like you're missing like life on the whole. And what you're seeing today, like Alexandria Cortez, you look at what she's able to do, and it's the dynamic at play here is they're thinking, oh, well, she's so incredible. Like, no, she's not. Like, she's a great person. She's a great communicator. But really, all she's doing is exactly what everybody else in her generation is already doing. And if you're afraid to tap into that potential or into that audience or even try to stop and learn and understand, then you're missing it, which is why she's killing it, why she's doing amazing.
She's being transparent.
I saw
she's
that.
being open.
Totally.
And just, carrying it.
And I'm going to quote something I only saw a headline of. So I'm just going to preface this that,
Didn't
you
read the
know, I
article.
did not
Here it
actually read
comes.
the article.
Fake news.
I know that a headline is not an article, you know. But just saw, it was a quick blip saying that she was teaching Twitter classes to other statesmen.
Totally
and women.
was.
Oh.
And I love that. Now, Ben and I personally have had to go through, and this was one of the funnier meetings we've ever had to lead, was we were working with the group, and it was a bunch of volunteers. We were the youngest volunteers in this group, and I was the running the group, and we had to teach what a hashtag was, and it was a full hour meeting on explaining a hashtag.
It's a pound symbol on a manual phone.
But how that was used and what that did, because nobody in the room had a clue.
Yeah, and so it was for Operation Christmas Child, and just trying to look, if you all are taking, because it was multi-county things, like we want to collect all the imagery, because I was the media coordinator. Like, I want to be able to get all your all's pictures, so just put this hashtag on there, and this thing, blah blah blah. Just going to try and move on. Well, what is the hashtag, and how does that work, and why does they didn't need to worry about it, they just needed to do it, and it was funny, but it was at the same time it was very telling of
Just the difference in a
you get on Facebook,
generation.
Yeah, and this was just
read
last
things.
week, right?
Yeah.
This was 2 years ago.
2 or 3
I
years
will.
ago,
I
yeah.
will say it was back when we were in Louisville. But I mean, there was only probably a difference. I mean, some of the volunteers were 20 to 30 years older than me, but
Right.
some of them were only 10, and you could see the disconnect with that just there about trying to realize, well, why would I use that?
Yeah.
So explaining that. So let's get back to the point. We kind of gotten off on our little tangent here.
Supposed
It,
to.
it's an unexpected journey what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And I love going with where conversation goes.
Yeah.
I'm like having trouble finding a happy spot with my microphone and my notes to be able to see them.
Do what you need to do.
So one of the things that I've got on here is that about how you change career paths. And you brought up that a little bit. And I'm going to dive a little deeper in that. What were the signs that were telling you it was time to change?
I think you have to kind of almost refine that question a little bit
Okay.
and say, like, at what career path are we talking about here?
Okay.
Are we talking about, and I mean, I could do that here on the fly too. Are we
Mm-hmm.
talking about what happened, high school to college, college to student ministry,
Mm-hmm.
student ministry to student ministry, and local urban missions? Are we talking like church planting? And I think the thing, like, what are the signs is along the way, you're going to get a couple things. So first, where's your passion? Like, where's your heart? And that's always reflective of what you're doing well. And wherever you're doing well and wherever God's blessing, I mean, that's where you ought to lean into. And, I have a pastor friend who is recently unemployed. And they were in ministry for 40 plus years.
Okay.
40 plus years. And so now this is like the first time where they're not at a church. Right. And so they've been doing church hopping and jumping around and being at places. And we had them over, and Sarah asked them, hey, how was church this morning? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
He goes, why would I enjoy church? Well, what do you mean? Like, you're supposed to enjoy church. Like, you're supposed to enjoy your ministry. You're supposed to enjoy your job and what you're doing and being with people that you are leading in a certain direction. And it was, well, I've been too busy focusing on leading other. Never thought about, I'm supposed to enjoy it. I'm supposed to like it. Like, dude, yeah, you're supposed to freaking love it. It's supposed to be amazing, and everything you touch, if God's a part of it, you should be getting this intrinsic value from it. It should be, overflowing inside of you.
Not forcing it to happen.
No. And so, like, the most recent context for me would have been like over 3 years ago when we closed our church down, and. It was super evident that we needed to be in San Diego, and North County, San Diego needed a church. And the church could have kept going. Like, not a big deal. It had money, it had people, and when it comes down to it, those are the two things you need. I mean, that's really all you need. But we were in a situation where we had to choose our battles, and did we want to fight the city over getting a location? And what it came down to, like, no, we don't.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to be about that. We don't want to be about that. Well, the whole time all this is going on is, that whole venture capitalist and digital marketing world I grew up in. Like, I've always had a side hustle.
Yeah.
I've always had a side hustle. This is what I do. Like, I can't focus.
As an outsider, I'm going to say I see that as such a California thing. Coming
totally,
into here.
Yeah, totally.
Like, the number of side hustles here is just, it blows my mind sometimes.
It's staggering.
There are a lot of people who have side hustles for side hustles.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's deep.
Back where we come from, if somebody's having to work, if they're having to work 2 jobs, then everybody feels bad for them. And having 2 things going, like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like, no, out here it's like, no, you have to have multiple streams. There's multiple ways things have to be coming in. And it's kind of what's expected.
Well, I think here in California, like, this is expected.
Yeah.
Like, it's everyone has to. I mean, it's so. Anyways, it's expensive as frick. So if you don't have a plan for when X goes wrong, I mean, so as a pastor, part of it was ethically. I never felt good about taking a full salary from a church. I looked at it and just kind of went, this is a weird model. Like, I don't know. This money can be used for the betterment of other staff. It could be used to bring more people from the outside in, and so we can get them from the inside trained up to go out. Like, that's there's a better way to do finances, but also just with the way my brain functions, dude, I can't concentrate on a single thing.
Right.
Like, I don't know how people can. And I have a friend who's a teacher, and he loves his job, and he goes, I know what I'm doing every day for the next 12 years.
Yeah.
Like, you're cool with that? Yeah, I mean, no adventure means no stress. I'm totally okay with that. And for me, I look at it and I go, I can't do it. And so as the
dying
church,
a little bit, yeah.
Totally, yeah. Like, so as the church was kind of winding its way down, the side hustle was always there.
Yeah.
And Chris Brown at North Coast, I remember sitting down with coffee with him. He's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Why are you leading this church? He goes, yeah, you're good at it and all, and you got people like, but why? Like, you're so good at doing these other things. Like, we as a church have gotten better because of the things that you've done. And look at all these other people you've helped along. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. And, you're like, well, how long did that take? Well, that's my Elizabeth voice in my head. That's really, I'm going to have to work on that one.
Was that Larry's voice?
Yeah, I'm going to have to work on that a little bit. But that was 6 months before we closed, and not too soon after, he's like, we love you. We love what you're doing. We want to support you as a church. Here's a check for $25,000. Yeah. I'm like, no. Well, what do you mean, no? Like, well, you remember that conversation that we had where you're like, what are you doing? Like, I get it, and I'm grateful, and I take the money, but this is going in a certain direction to where we're being responsive to the people that are bringing wisdom into our lives. And with you and Larry and with the network we're all part of, we can keep doing this and fight an uphill battle with the city. And eventually things legally will work out on our way. But at the end of it, is that really what we want to be about? Is that who we are? And everything that I touch in this other area, God is just absolutely blessing, and more people are coming. And I've never had to do a dime worth of marketing because it just happens. Word gets out, and it's great. So no, Chris, I'm not going to take the money.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the advice, and we're going to shut this thing down, and we're going to let the other thing breathe.
Yeah. Yep.
So it took a while. I'd say 3 years.
Wow.
Okay.
But really, the last 6 months were the point where you just decision time. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to really leverage? And so far, it's been working out 3.5 years later.
So what is this other thing? You've kind of alluded to the job change. I'd like you to what is it that you are doing now?
Yeah. So
Explain that.
the thing I'm doing now is so when we started the church, and the finances were the issue and the ethics were the issue, and I didn't want it to always come back down to can the church fully support me? Because when you're doing a new church, you're going to mostly get people who aren't accustomed to church and to giving, and so the side thing was the same thing I've been doing since I can remember back in high school, and that's just building websites.
Yeah.
And then the past 20 years leading up to that was all about in the digital space, we just call it the UX, the user experience.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a great church user experience guy. And so when you combine the digital space and with someone who's got 20 years of on-the-ground experience, it's kind of this unicorn that everyone's like, holy crap, we never knew we needed this, but oh my goodness, we do. Yeah. We need it. We need it really bad. And so I'm in this digital space that's also offering on-the-ground training and consulting. And so when you merge those two worlds together, you get a church that is the best online and hopefully the best in person.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing.
So that those two match up.
Yeah.
Dude, they match up
Yeah.
beautifully.
Yeah.
Because most of the time in our space, you find someone who's good at one thing, but not the other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And I will say, for those of you not familiar with church websites, I'm going to kind of walk you through a standard church website really, really quick. Number one,
back in 1994, the last time it was updated.
Yeah.
GeoCities.
Yeah, you're on their GeoCities, and you go in, and there's this really bad stock photo that is typically designed to show that we're diverse.
Or it's the praying hands.
Yeah. And then that's what's up there at the top. Then you're like looking to try to find out, well, what time are the service times? And those are normally buried on like the third or fourth click page, like to get to that information. Then you go to the calendar to find out it hasn't been updated since at least 6 months ago.
Right.
When somebody was like really, really on it for a little bit. And there are a ton of events there, but there's nothing new. You go to the contact us page, and you hope that those are the right people still on there.
Yeah. Are they still staff? Are they still on the board? Who knows?
Chances are the background color also makes it really, really difficult to read the text that's on it.
Because a lot of it's run by volunteers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they're doing their best, and they love that they're helping out. But it's not their first love. It's not their passion.
Right.
And so it comes out.
And so it's very difficult to like find the information that you're looking for on those.
Yep.
And so that's just for those of you who have not been in that sphere.
There's a
just
deep
kind of
need.
like
There's a deep need.
There is, but honestly,
Yeah.
the deep need that you're talking about for churches is the same deep need for like most businesses.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, most people just suck online.
Yeah.
They don't get it. And the fact is, if you can't rank fast and first online, you're not going to grow. It's just it's not possible. It's in our metric system today that if you're not ranking on these search engines, like no one's showing up to your business, no one's showing up to your coffee shop, no one's showing up to your church on a Sunday morning, because if you can't get them to the top of that funnel, they sure as heck aren't going to get to the bottom of it.
right.
Right.
And I was at a meetup a couple of weeks ago, and there was one person there who said I had to close client bookings because my web guy got it right.
Yeah.
And I had more business than I can handle. And she was in the legal field. So it was
Yeah.
one of those, like, she only can do so much
Yeah.
at a time. And it was funny to hear, like, everybody was like, oh, can we have that name? I want that name. I want that. I want that. And like, oh, sorry, he's no longer in the business.
Yeah.
And it's like, and so finding somebody who gets that, because it really is, if you're good at the business side of your business and doing what you're doing, you're not going to know this other stuff because you're focused on that aspect.
No, totally. That's why you pay people.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
Build your team. Do not try to be a one-man show.
No,
Yeah.
be an expert in your field and let other experts come into it to advise you and guide you and lay out that path so you can be successful.
Yeah.
Okay.
And talking from a ministry standpoint too, there's a lot of ministers who try to wear all those hats and they wind up choking themselves out in the process.
Well,
and it's
yeah,
hard.
but
it's hard.
You got to remember, like in ministry, and maybe this is just my perspective, but it's not. There's a certain level of pride that comes with pastors. They think they need to know it all and they need to do it all. And being somebody in the space that has to constantly tell people no and what the right way to go is, there is no other client that is more difficult to work with than a pastor.
Right.
Because they think they know their church better than they do, and they don't.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, websites aren't for them. I mean, they're for the end user who doesn't know Jesus yet.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is their first impression. And if they're on a date with you through your website, most of them are leaving you because you dress like you're from the 80s, and they don't want that.
Right. Yep. It's true.
Totally true.
It's 100%
Which,
true.
side note,
Yeah.
for the love of all that is holy, please check out Captain Marvel's website.
Oh, it's so good.
Freaking spectacular.
It's so good. You haven't seen it
I
yet.
have not. I am
it's
now
so
like
good.
really curious. so-
Absolutely amazing.
I loved it. I was punching scrolls and having a good time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking GeoCities. Like, for
Oh, yeah.
real, that was GeoCities.
Yeah, it
oh, my
was.
gosh.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
My
But
re-
responsive.
Yeah.
Who knew?
I'm like, oh goodness, I have no idea. Like, okay, punching scrolls.
Oh, no. Yeah. No, this
Yeah.
is all
I know
flying
what
around
those
your head
are.
right
like,
now.
but like, so there's like interactive games on it.
You know what?
Or what is?
You're
It's
just gonna
as
have
if
to
you
see
got
it.
old school She-Ra
Yeah.
Okay.
and packaged her up and threw it online, because
Yeah.
that's totally what it is.
Yeah.
It's legitimate.
It's amazing. It's
Ooh, I'm
absolutely
happy to hear
amazing.
old school because I've been trying to watch the
Yeah.
new one,
so
and I'm
good.
having
Yeah.
trouble with the new one just because I was so familiar with the old school She-Ra. But
Get on board. It's
yeah,
good.
it's hard.
Yes,
Trying
we
to bring
digress.
back-
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's all
trying
right.
to
It's okay.
Bring back to some of the ideas.
We get to tag all these things in the SEO, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
She-Ra,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We
Captain Marvel,
should.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel. Ooh, what other things can we randomly say then that will like?
What's next in the notes, Beth?
Yeah. Next in the notes. So, in taking this risk, did you feel like it was much of a risk at the time, or did you just feel like a natural step,
That's,
or some combination of the
No,
two?
no, no.
That had to be one or the other.
So, bottom line,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you're risk averse, you're success averse.
True. Yep.
That's like a game changer, game ender there. So if you're in any kind of business where you want to scale, grow, or even just being who you are, like Paul Jarvis has a great new book, Company of One, which you're talking about SEO, like freaking tag that right there, because
Yeah.
the dude's a freaking rock star. But it's how do you know when you have enough? Like it's easy to scale. It's easy to grow a business. It's easy to make millions. And I know you're on a podcast and it's like, he's really saying that. Like, yeah, I'm really saying that. It is. But how do you get to a point to where you have enough? And for me, that was always a conversation, because I grew up in the space of it's really easy to get ahead. And I understand that's privilege. Like, for real, I understand that's privilege, and that's not everybody's experience. But for me, coming into it, it was that whole, if you're risk averse, you're going to be success averse. And then at the same time, it's I came out of the venture capital world. I've done this 13 times before.
Yeah.
It was just another natural step. I was used to it. So for me, it was just, I have no other choice. Let's do it. And it's always done it, and done it really, really well.
Yeah.
So going to your personal model,
Okay.
how many people are in your company
Me.
right now? Just you.
Just me.
Just
Just
you.
me and a bunch of subs. It's freaking amazing. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, because at the end of the day, for me, my priority, my focus, being with my family.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want to do more than anything else. And I could build this up. We have enough capital to build it up and hire on more staff, part-time or full-time. But then the company grows.
Yeah.
Right.
And then if the company grows, so does demand.
Right.
And I like to vacation with my family. I like to coach my daughter's lacrosse. I like to coach my son's football. And if I'm doing those other things, I don't have margin.
Right.
I'm a margin man. I need margin.
So do you think that's different in your viewpoint because you're Russ at 40 and not Russ at 20?
Oh, heck yeah. I was an arrogant son of a gun back at 20. But I think we all are.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
at 20, we think we could take over the world and do whatever we want.
Yeah.
And at this point, like even sitting in this chair now is different than 6 weeks ago. I mean, since then, my stepmom's had a stroke, and we have a cabin in Montana, cabin, 4,500 square foot cabin. We have a 4,000 square foot unattached garage, camper, boat on the lake. It's spectacular. It's a thing everybody dreams about. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. She had a stroke. She can't do 3 flights of stairs anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
We're selling the thing.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So even the Russ today is different than the Russ 6 weeks, and is sure as a heck a lot different than the Russ 20 years ago.
Right.
How involved is your family with what you do? Business-wise. That's what I'm curious because of that line. Knowing the way I grew up.
Sure.
My dad's a doctor. He had a practice. Now that does have employees. And I am the only one, Alex and I, only 2 of us never worked in the office. And technically right now, Jeremiah, our son, comes in to help us. He's not actually on staff, but he's learning how to edit. And stuff.
Careful with those labor laws in California.
Well, no, I have learned that a family member is allowed to volunteer their time.
Yeah.
I talked with the
volunteer. Sure.
80 hours a week, volunteer, or you don't eat. Yeah.
But, and just going back through that I've seen how families sometimes work together. So I just was curious if your family's involved, or is this something you do and they're like, yeah, that's nice, honey, have fun?
No. So they're engaged as much as they want to, and their experience and their skill set, it doesn't match up to what I'm doing.
Right.
But they come in and they'll preview sites, they'll preview consulting plans. Sometimes they'll even go on offsites with me. When I'm going to a church and they want me to go through their entire assimilation workflow or user experience on a weekend, sometimes I'll go and I'll show up with my kids and my wife, and I'll tell them to go off to Starbucks because their children's ministry check-in system is that atrocious. And I want to know that at the end of the day, I'm going to be able to pick up my kids.
Right.
And so they're involved as much as they can be involved. But even like the home studio, I'll have it's 4 times as big as this, but I have a keypad at the door.
Right.
And if the door is closed and the keypad is locked, don't come in.
Right.
Like, do not disturb. This is my time. And if I don't focus on this, then I can't focus on you in 3 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they understand, like, Dad needs to be head down right now so he can coach me later. Or he needs to be head down so we can go to the beach. Like, I need to focus so I can have the margin. And they appreciate, and now being at 13 and 10, my son and daughter understand that margin's important, not just for me, but for them.
Yeah.
They're really appreciating that.
So I'm going to jump in here.
Go for it.
Growing up in the era that we all grew up in, and especially where you did, there was the old movie Secret of My Success and all that sort of stuff where it was all about punching it all the time. You just get out there and getting after it. Did you grow up in a family that made margin, or is that something that you had to learn for yourself?
Oh, no. Margin's different in the Silicon Valley.
Okay.
It's just different.
Okay.
It's different. So, we're going to have the standpoint like today that, my margin looks different than even if we have the same family dynamic in San Jose.
Right.
So margin looks completely different. Back then, we had very little. Like, we had financial margin,
right.
But in order to have that financial margin, we had to sacrifice our time margin. I'm not going to make that kind of a decision today. Like,
Right.
I'm not going to sacrifice one for the other. So I'm going to take less capital so I could have more time.
Right.
Like, so that's the dynamic at play. But I grew up kind of going, like, I love my parents, but I'd really like a little more time.
Right.
And so for me, that was the most formative thing. And even coming into marriage, that Sarah understood of, I know I can do this and I know I can get ahead, but I'd rather just be I'd rather be a kingmaker than a king.
Right.
So I can have that time with you and our kids.
Yeah.
Like, it was a very conscious decision.
Cool. Because I know for us, because we're transitioning right now, we're in the midst of it. The reality of Sunday is family day for us.
Yeah.
Because last night we had stuff we could have done. Beth was like, I'm just going to knock out a couple. He's like, no.
And he wouldn't let me.
Yeah, I had to draw the line and say, no, that's what tomorrow morning is for.
Yeah.
And today is family day. We're going to chill out, we're going to relax, we're going to recharge, and we're going to be together. But we're not going to, knock out a couple of things. It's like, because once you break through that line, then the whole flood comes through. and
Yeah.
you lose it. It's
Well,
so
you can
hard to
always do.
regain.
You can always do a couple more things.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, and there's always something else to do.
Yeah.
So, so I think a lot of people, and we saw a lot of this with the YouTube community this last year, people trying to live up to an unreasonable expectation, and it was burnout after burnout after burnout. And people are saying, I got to take 30 days, 60 days, 90 days off. And then that throws off your whole dynamic with the algorithm and everything else. So there's an unreasonable expectation that they've been having to learn to deal with and now try to find correction for, so that they're not just burning the candle at both ends and in the middle and in between.
Yeah, I think in 18, what we saw more than anything, and what's really driving the ship in 19, is it's really easy for somebody to build. It is. And it's easy for somebody to grow business-wise. But the people that want to, that they want to listen to are the people that are able to do that and still have a family and have a life at the same time. I think we're done with the, holy crap, do they really have all that stuff? Yeah, they do, but they're not enjoying it. Like we're done with that. We're now on the path of the Nathan Berrys and the McCulloughs of Beaver Builder. Like we're on that path where people can build amazing things, but enjoy their success with their families at the same time. Like when I turn on a podcast, those are the people I want to listen to. Like I want to listen to people who are making a difference, shutting the microphones off, and then making a difference in their families. Like I want to learn how to do that blend a little bit better, because even I could learn it better.
Yeah, and that's something we can all continue to work on.
So. We've been going to San Diego Entrepreneurs Meetup on a regular basis right now, getting to meet some incredible people there. And I'm going to name drop a little bit just because I'm impressed at the decisions they make. Because Pat Flynn's there, Gene Haus is there, you know, we've met some great people, but they will leave early because they have to go pick up their kids. Yeah. You know,
June's
even though,
guys, I'm done at 3 o'clock because my kid gets out at 3:30 and she's my priority.
I'm going to be there. Yeah. And it's not a matter of, oh, this is great, I'm making these incredible connections, it's going to drive my business. It is, no, I'm going to go pick up my kids. I'm going to be part of that. And I chose this lifestyle for myself rather than punching the time card so I could do that.
Absolutely. And you're going to get more business from it. Like you will get more business from that today. I mean, my clients have, and it's been obnoxious. Like, no joke, over the past 6 months since the stroke, 6 weeks since the stroke, it just seems like 6 months. It feels like 6 months,
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, January was a full year.
It was. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I feel like, anyways. So many of them have reached out and encouraged me, no, take another week, take a couple weeks, take a month.
That's awesome.
Hey, dude, don't even worry about it. Just put it on the back burner. Like, you don't, that's not normal. No. Like, it's not normal. I have their money in my bank account. Right. It's not normal for them to go, hey, just chill. Yeah. Like, it's okay to just be. We hired you because you're the best at what you do. So take whatever time you need so you can bring your A game next week or next month or whenever it is. Like, we want you. And if you're not whole and healthy and happy, you're going to suck. Yeah.
Yep. I like the next question that I've got on here.
I'm going to blow it then.
Okay.
Just kidding.
So we're going to talk in the present.
Okay.
Okay. What is awesome right now for Catalyst Creative?
Yeah, it's the same thing that's been awesome for the past 3.5 years. It's the, how the heck did you hear about me? Yeah. Because you're a new client and you're over the moon happy. Yeah. It's the same thing. Like when you do great work and when people come out of the woodwork to find you, to seek you out, to schedule that meeting so you can have them as okay, all right, I guess I'm doing something right. So to have those kind of clients that, frankly, could have a giant agency lead their project, say, I'm good, I want Russ. Yeah. Like, that just happened twice last week. Yeah. Okay. Like, those are the things that bring me a lot of joy. Yeah. Because I know they're not just getting me as the guy who's got his own agency, but the guy who's also leading his family and influencing his community. Like, they appreciate, okay, I'm doing something right. Like, that is, it's just more affirmation, and I'm an affirmation guy. Like, I need it. Yeah, I need it. Like,
That's your love language.
It is.
We'll hit another SEO point right there.
Right?
I'm the same. I'm exactly the same.
All right, SEO point. Enneagram.
Yeah. He's a 2.
He is a 2.
Okay, so that's Catalyst.
Yeah.
What's awesome right now in the Cantu family?
See, you're asking that question after the whole stroke thing. And
no,
it
but there's always something that's
There
good.
is.
And
There
I will
is.
say that. It could
There
be that
is.
the coffee was great
What
this
did you
morning.
What did you
It
do
was
with your
okay.
daughter?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll talk
yeah.
about the thing with my daughter, but no, even just this morning, like at 9:15, my stepmom had her follow up.
Right. Yeah.
And she got the all clear. Like,
Yeah.
like you're gonna do great on your recovery from stroke. Your carotid surgery was amazing. You're doing better than we thought. You're clear for travel. Like,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Like
That's
that's
huge.
those little victories allow me. Like, no joke. My work the past 6 weeks it's been bad. Like, it's been bad. I've been off my game, and I've never been one to bring a B game, let alone a C game. And so, for me, like my wife saying, like last Thursday, you're really off. Like, we need to go to the beach. We need to get you centered. We need to get you relaxed. And talking with you this morning about doing a cooking class with my daughter last Friday, like, that recharges and gets me centered. And so when you say, oh, what's going good in the Cantu, like right now, honestly, it's just the fact that I could be a little bit more at peace this week than I was last week and last month.
Yeah.
Like that's
a big deal.
Yeah, I don't want to
really
die
is.
at 41.
No.
Like
no.
the stress is too much. Like I created this company to bring me margin, and so when that stress comes in, it just soaks it up. I'm like, screw you, get out of here. Like I need So the little victory we got this morning is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
What are you looking forward to right now?
On the whole,
Yeah.
having my dad and stepmom move down here.
Yeah.
Like they're going to be 10 minutes away in an awesome community that's going to allow them to get healthy and whole again. To be able to have my kids have a similar arrangement with their grandparents that I had with mine.
Right.
Like that right there, honestly, it kind of full circle brings back to roots and allows me to breathe a little easier and appreciate the life that I'm giving them right now. I mean, that's really what it is. And the other things like starting the other companies and being invested over here, like as soon as they take off, like I know that the life I set up for now is not going to be drastically affected whether we get a lot of money or a little bit of money from whatever. Like I don't care. Like this is our path, and I'm really stoked on it, and I'm really excited that now we get to share that with more family. Like that right there. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
So now we're to one of our fun points that we get to do, and this is our social media selfie.
Okay.
We'll always take a selfie in the middle of recording and post it so that those of you who are following us on social media, you were in the know first. You knew that this episode was being recorded, who the guest was, all of the little basics, so that if you aren't already following us, we are over on Instagram. You can find us at BetaHaus Studio, as well as Twitter. We are beta_house, and that is Haus. Oh, the spelling there, because they both have 4 letters, and that's just as nice to have them be the same. So let's go ahead and get this lined up. It's funny, I am not the greatest selfie taker.
Yeah, you're.
I know Photoshop. We'll be
It's so good right here. Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
That is taken. So Ben's going to work on getting that nicely typed up real quick while you get to have one little last push here. And this is a shameless plug for whatever you want to plug. It could be for your own business. It could be for an awesome brand of dog food that you just found.
You know, I totally no, I didn't.
Funny you
How did
mentioned
I
dog food.
know? But just whatever you want to push right now. This is your platform. Push whatever you want.
What do people need to hear about?
Themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really what it comes down to is everything that I've done has been set up to make other people successful.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that. My clients are more successful than me, and I love it because it means I'm doing exactly what I need to do. So for everyone else who's listening, take it to heart. Like I'm a kingmaker, not a king, and I'm super okay with it, and I'd rather elevate your game. So if you want to reach out to me, reach out. No strings attached. Bring good coffee.
Yeah.
And I'll do my best to make you better. That's the shameless plug.
Awesome.
Not what you were
I
expecting.
don't know how we're going to link that, but we'll figure it out. We'll do a link to
yourself,
you. But yeah.
Right? Put your own link in the comments down below.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
Do it.
Yeah,
Put your website in there, and I'll just cry my eyes out and then help you out.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
What are you listening to right now, Russ? Music-wise.
Yeah, music-wise, man, I'm all over the place. Honestly, with our family, we're super into Broadway hits.
Okay.
Dear Evan Hansen, absolutely freaking phenomenal. But on the drive up, Pod Save America.
Okay.
Awesome podcast. My favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
By far.
Well, we'll link all those and stuff down below.
That's good. John Favreau's going to be like, what? Who are these guys? Yeah. It's all right.
Yep. Awesome.
And I have one last plug, not last, is that we do have a special guest who you cannot see in the
But
studio
I'm
with us
tagging
right
him
now.
in the
Yeah,
post.
so he's in the
Yep.
tagged in the post. Jordan Kirkham of SD Video Pros has been in the studio with us today, making sure our equipment was set correctly and probably shaking
look
his
better and
head
sound
and
better today.
everything else. Yeah, you know why that
Yep.
was, is he's been behind the scenes making us sound great and look great. So we are super thankful for that, and we will have a link to all of his stuff too.
He's
in
got
the
some
description.
awesome Kickstarter stuff going to be coming out here soon,
Yeah,
too,
you
that
wanna check that one
wanna
out.
Get into if you're into transporting your content around. So we'll leave it at that. Let you check out the links.
All right.
Cool. Well, Russ, thank you so much, bro.
Oh, thanks
Appreciate
for
you
having
coming
me,
in
guys.
today and
Appreciate it.
Talking through things and
Absolutely.
yeah. So make sure if you're listening online, if you're checking out the podcast through iTunes or whatever wonderful location is you find your podcasts, make sure you give us a couple stars down there at the bottom, leave a nice review. That'll help us pop up easier for other people to find the content that you found today. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to give us a thumbs up, ring the subscription bell down there in the corner so you get notifications when more of these come up. And otherwise, we hope to find you all online. And Russ, appreciate it, brother.
We'll
Thanks
see
for
you
having
next.
me.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to talk over Toby.
3, 2, 1.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.